This is a public meeting of Denham Springs City Council Finance Meeting, Council Committee, April 28th, 2025, at 14 hours in the courtroom of the municipal building. Call meeting to order. And ask the clerk to call roll, please.
Dugas, Gilbert, Lamb Williams,
Here.
Poole,
Here.
Wesley.
Here. We have a quorum. Clearly, we have one. So I will, we're gonna do this or not. Item number 1 on the agenda is approved finance meeting for the May 14th, 2024 finance meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second. Seconded by Poole.
Dugas, Gilbert,
Here.
Lamb Williams,
Yes.
Poole,
Yes.
Wesley.
Yes. Item number 2 is discuss the amended budget for fiscal year July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, and the consolidated budget for fiscal year July 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. And we generally take those budgets together, so we will do that. Michelle, is there anything you want to open up with?
May I, just a point of order real quick? Buffy, did we get an electronic copy of the minutes of the finance meeting?
Yes.
We did?
Yes.
So I see the contents of it. I don't see, in other words, I see the spreadsheets, but I don't see a copy of this electronically.
Oh, the
The
agenda?
Yeah.
You should have had it.
Okay.
It was sent. It wasn't sent lumped into that one. There was, I want to say, 3 documents on the one that I sent you, and then I sent an agenda thereafter.
Okay, I guess I didn't get that. Okay, never mind. Just again, on the point of order, are we going to migrate this all electronically?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we're just kind of working our way into it.
Baby steps.
Yes, that's all.
Good deal. Thank you, Chairman. Sorry.
Okay, just a couple of things that impact the budget citywide. As far as retirement rates go, MERS decreased this year for the employer contribution from 14% to 13.5%. Fire remained the same, and police decreased from 35.6 to 33.475%. Increase? That's never happened. My question.
33.6 to what?
35.6 to 33.47. The draft of the budget that we have contains an 8.5% increase for health insurance. We did receive afterwards another proposal from Blue Cross that decreases the premium slightly, with a few plan modifications, so we need a chance to look at that before we decide which direction we're going to go. But we'll have an answer by the next budget meeting on which one of those we're going to go. Gas department and water department have both requested a new employee, and they do have the increased customer numbers to support that. There is not a cost of living in the budget. I'm sure y'all remember that we're having a salary survey done for fire and police right now. Our intention is to do the same thing for the remainder of the city, and then move the pay scales toward what that salary survey shows that it should be. So there is 3.5% in the salaries for that to happen, but it's not going to be an even 3% across the board for all employees. If
Are you using the same group to,
Valerie seems to like them, they're working well with her, they're easy to work with. There is gonna be a new fund added this year, Fund 11, which is gonna capture the hotel tax income and expenditures. It's in the very back of the packet. So anything related to salary increases or benefits or revenue from the hotel tax won't be found in the police department or the fire department, it's in the new fund.
And the revenue will be accounted for in the general,
In the new fund.
in the new fund.
Yes. Yes.
Just while we're on that subject, we're talking about collection, which I'm trying to find it here somewhere. Where it's gonna be collected in May, is that correct?
The hotels are collecting it now in April. They'll remit it when they file their April returns and by May 20th, and then we'll get the funds early June.
Okay. I just read it on my
Oh.
it's not good. Okay. Anything else?
That's all I
That's a
have.
good encapsulation of everything, so we won't have to spend a whole lot of time on anything. We'll just do it like we normally do, kind of go through it page by page. If you see anything that catches your eye, and stop and we'll talk about it.
Just for clarification again, the new employee request was for gas and
Sewer.
sewer.
Let the record show us who got this right.
Thank you so much.
All right, page one, general fund revenue. Not a whole lot of notable things on there. You can see some notes on the side that Michelle put in. But there's not a whole lot of changes there. Page two, pretty much the same thing. And on page three are the grants. And the grant line three, there are other federal grants there. That's part of the COVID money, that was the revenue replacement money. And she's just accounting for that money now. And then under the OCD funds there, those are flood projects and the 10% reimbursement. And then, at the bottom, other grants, state grants, that's the Act 776-397 money, that's for Spring Park.
I think,
Old City
no, wait,
Park,
is that for?
as well as,
Yes, for.
some work on the first Baptist Church, some equipment as well. That money came to us from the state. Page 4 is just the miscellaneous income there, that is 27 property buyouts, which is required for the FNA program.
It's just the LWI.
Well, the guy, And, going to general provisions, Michelle's already mentioned that we have a reduction in MERS expenses. And then, of course, we'll be talking more about the insurance as soon as I get some more fund numbers about that. And the next page, those are some, under equipment and vehicle, that's capital projects, and we'll talk about those separately in just a little while. Page 7 is the buyout, revenue for buyouts, offset, under land acquisitions there. And that was page 3, where it's just offset. Under professional fees, there will be an increase in the 25-26 budget for the compensation study. Any questions so far?
So the compensation study that we just approved last meeting or meeting before, Is that right? I think the mayor
That's-
suggested that we,
That's, the one that y'all approved is for fire and police, and that's split between those two departments. The one we have in the budget for next year is for the remainder of the city.
Okay.
So we haven't put in that one yet.
okay. So that's $1 million study that we're looking at?
No, it's like $35,000.
Oh, that's okay.
The $1 million is the professional fees related to the HMA, the 2022 HMA grant, which is the elevations of the properties.
Okay. Because like the police and fire thing was $11,000 or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
On that study, is it just, I mean, is it giving us, what all information comes off of that? I mean, I know it's obviously hourly and salaries, but is it also all benefits or?
Benefits.
Okay.
Mhm.
And the comparison will be to other agencies in the
In the
area.
area.
How big would the area be?
Mhm.
Do you remember? It would be close in area, close enough that a firefighter or a policeman could reasonably get work.
Without having to leave.
Right.
I think they said within an hour.
And how big is, for the regular, for everybody else, how
We
big?
haven't started
We haven't
that
started.
one But I would imagine it'd be in the same
Thing.
vicinity.
Mhm.
Right, page 8,
It's on there.
the Springs project is not, just been put on hold for a later time. The, under bank charges, Michelle said they're taking money and put in CDs, taking them out of banks, so that we'll see a better return on our investment there. And then on page 9, telephone leases paid for, so we don't have to pay for telephones anymore. Page 10, much change there, much of the significant change there.
I think, just do about $7,000 savings with the smart janitorial services.
Oh, that's right. Let's get that, oh, there it is.
Those are
Same number, different line, huh?
$7,000 there, $7,000 for the equipment rental, so. just saving money all over the place. 10, not much, 11. Cemetery maintenance, and then we talked about, the fence and the work around the cemetery, we put that in the cemetery. There's money in there for that. Number 12, 13. There is a 3% increase built in for landscaping services.
You said 3%?
And he would probably be doing some extra work around this First Baptist Church. Moving on to planning and zoning. This is the more money they needed.
That's
That's what I wrote down.
All right.
Clear misunderstanding.
Look at you, software, we'll talk about that.
No, that software is not,
It's not capital outlay.
it's a subscription.
Oh, okay.
But it's a floodplain management software.
Right. So it helps us, it does a lot of different things. It's floodplain management as well as notice of violation, NOVs, code enforcement. It's a combination with that. On the floodplain management side, it will provide a customer side website where folks can go, where they can click on their lot, and they can pull up their elevation certificate, any other information that we have on that. On our side, we'll be able to click on those and have substantial damage information come up. We'll be able to, with this, we'll be able to capture about 500 points. Now, I haven't gone back to actually compare what points we're getting for it, but it will help us with our CRS points. It'll help us capture that. It'll also help us scan elevation certificates when they come in. We just stick it in, it scans them up, and it'll tell us whether it is compliant or not. We had, last year when we submitted some elevation certificates, we had quite a few come back to us on simple stuff that we just overlooked. And it's easy to miss. I mean, it's a 5-page document that every little field has to be filled out. And if a diagram is the wrong diagram, instead of a 1A, it's a 1B on the thing, and we just don't catch it, it gets caught when we get to the verification point. We have to get 9% on those ones that we submit. Otherwise, it drops us from a 7 back to a 9, like that. We get one chance to fix our problems. So if we can get that on the forefront, before it gets to the verification process, if we can just slide those things in there, let them read. Tangipahoa Parish has it. I want to say Gonzales has picked up Forerunner. There's a few other larger jurisdictions that have it. Livingston Parish, I know, is signing on for Forerunner. They're looking to get that up and running soon. So in that regard, in the floodplain management part, it's going to be very beneficial for us. And then on the code enforcement part, it's just much easier than what we're currently using now. It's a little more user-friendly. It's a little more intuitive. It's a good package. It's going to help us do our job better.
I know you said it has a customer portal. Does it also show, do they have to be like a registered customer, or is it just open for people to look at the product?
I think like with anything right now, but if you go to any website, you kind of have to register.
Okay.
And that's to prevent bots from going on and from going in and scraping all the data out of it. So but it doesn't cost anything. It's just you go in, you make an account, and you can look at what you got. So real estate agents can pull up stuff, take a look. Potential buyers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Anyone's got a question, my insurance is high, why, you put one there, and maybe some links to help them out.
That's cool, because we can direct them that way.
An elevation certificate from there?
Correct, yeah. It'll be very easily on there, that's right.
So they won't have to come here to do that.
Correct. Yeah, that'll save the phone calls to us, if they go there first. If they go to see that, or we can call them and say, hey, if you want to take a look at it, you can find it on this website. Or it's on our website, the link will be made to the website. But it'll also enable those, because we've been saving elevation certificates since the 90s. And it'll be able to, some of these older houses, it's old information. The elevations the base flood elevations have gone high, but at least they'll have a starting place. So everybody whatever we have will be on that website.
Good.
That's cool.
Any other questions from Rick? About whether the software on page 16. Got 18 is permit office, business license permits. Not a huge change there. Just conflicts. Boy, I think that's Page 20. We go to animal control on page 23. There's some overtime costs due to the blizzard that we had. Increase in cat traps.
Was there fundraiser last week? Wasn't it for a specific thing? Like, no, it wasn't. Was it successful?
They raised, 11,500 total. During the time they were there, which was a 3-hour window, it was like right 9,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that just goes in the general fund?
It goes in, it goes in for the shelter, yes.
And obviously, one of the things that we want to address is, along with that, what's the real request that we have internally, is that we want to try to make our shelter a little bit more weather resistant. We put some metal roofs, now we're going to do some enclosures as well, so that whenever this happens again, we'll be able to put up tarps, canopies, whatever, and actually try to retain some heat. Because it's just a matter of time. It's going to happen again, right?
Yeah.
But we're not going to go full-blown closed air conditioning heated year round. Yeah.
They aren't very comfortable, by the way.
No, you
No, no cages.
You're kind of built like a Great Dane, though. If you were built a little more like a, you know,
Chihuahua.
yeah, like a Chihuahua, maybe.
I can't stand up in it.
So it's a step in the right direction and just fundraising.
It's pretty impressive.
All right, page 24. 30 by 70 lean-to shed, roof, and for the dog kennels. And 125, 160, 117. And get to 27. And the option is wellness. That's software that will no longer be active with our department. Is there anything you want to say about Chief?
Sir?
About your department, your budget, anything you need to tell us?
You want to talk about anything we need?
You want to talk about the truck delivery?
Yeah.
600
It's
days
gonna
out.
be probably August of next year before we take delivery of it.
So should we have a don't play with matches campaign from now to then? Report of compensation studies here. And the attorney fees for a lawsuit, the truck crash, and anything you want to talk about? All right. We'll have the fire department taken care of. Police department. You want to say anything before we go through all this?
I'm real pleased with some of the things we've put in there, some programs we expounded on in the last few years that we've been working to get some things done, such as the site spotter cameras. We've been real happy with what those are doing for us, so we're trying to add on to that a little bit. The crash reconstruction, trying to get that closer to being in-house. We got some server software stuff with IT that we have to deal with, and that's just a continuation of something he started last year. We got vehicles we're getting back up to par with. I'm real pleased with how that's going. It's getting more and more expensive. It seems every year, and I think Michelle has made an adjustment for that in there.
There's been some supply chain issues just getting the vehicles that you
And
need.
just the cost of the vehicle itself going up, as well as the products we're putting into it. I think just a few short years ago, we were at 50,000 per vehicle, now we're 65. So, it's definitely been ramping up. Let's see,
Body cams? You want to talk about those?
I'm sorry.
Body cameras?
Body cams, we got all those last year, so we're good to go on those. Brand new, the latest and greatest. They literally just came out when we got those. And we'll have that, I've got it set to redo it again 5 years from that date. Just kind of a software deal. It's kind of a program that same thing with our tasers. So we're kind of planning for that now. Whereas Michelle and I kind of got blindsided with both of those the last few years. We're kind of planning for it now, knowing 5-year plan, this is what we gotta look at. Body armor has been a really great partnership so far with Capital Area Law Enforcement Foundation. Has been doing a great job for us. We still got some issues there, and we still got to spend some money, city money there, in the future to shore up some of those things that Caleb couldn't take care of. That's okay, because they took care of a lot. I'm real pleased with where the direction that's heading. Same thing with firearms. We got, Department on Firearms in our hands on, from pistols, rifles to shotguns, and just about every one of our policemen now. So, and we're kind of just expounding on some of the things, radars, LiDARs, getting away from leasing slowly but surely. I think we're finding it's more beneficial just to buy outright. And, that's about it, I think. I'm sure I've got questions.
Parking lot.
Oh, yeah, that's one I'm really excited about. I had somebody come to me and complain extensively when I was still a sergeant, about our parking lot, the handicap access. And so I've been singing this song since then, so it's been probably over 5 years. I was singing the song to the previous administration. It never worked out. Well, I started planning budgetary wise for it a couple of years ago, and I'm hoping that we can get that done and get at least the handicap problem addressed. But also just kind of restripe everything, maybe add a parking spot or two, and just clean up some things and it'll be cleaned up. But the handicap space is the whole driver of this. It's in a bad spot. We know it's at. It's in a bad spot. It's not up to par.
Where's the parking lot that's just around the building, or the other, like we're talking, like on the front side?
Yeah, so this is with the building itself. So all the way around the building, but not our properties across the street.
All right.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that one. I don't even know, we come up there several times, I'd love to be able to call and say, hey, we finally got it, we did it. So it never got to the point where he was threatening to sue, but he wanted to know when we were supposed to land. And so,
Is it just
excited
location?
when they get back there.
I'm sorry, is it just location where the spot is?
Where the spot is, the size, ramp,
Okay.
signage,
Yeah.
everything was apparently wrong.
Yeah.
But location is actually okay technically, but it's hard for a person to find.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna take the opportunity to move it to the front of the parking lot where it probably should be. So it's even more easily accessible. And I think we'll double check, but I think it's still only one spot that we need, but you have to have that big safety area.
Right.
And our safety area is only half the size it should be. That was safety zone for, matter of fact, we had somebody come, had to use it and unload there, unload his wheelchair. He had to put his vehicle there, his vehicle was specially equipped and motored out and then down his ramp and he barely squeaked. And it was really difficult. It took him some doing to get in and out. So
You probably need, on that door access and that's where the
yeah, that's something we definitely need to look at in the future. Doors, probably for, even back when you were there, were stuck, ajar, kind of. We finally got that fixed last year. Now the doors open and close like they're supposed to.
Right, but to have an automatic.
Yeah, that's something that we might look into in the future for sure.
What kind of, when you talk about bringing crash site reconstruction in-house, what's an example?
So there's a lot of components to a crash reconstruction. And in this case, this year we're adding mapping software, which helps the crash reconstructions draw the diagram. Imagine a bird's eye view looking down and seeing how the lay of the land and everything and position everything where you want it. I mean, that's the layman term, I guess you'd say, or
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about term. My crash reconstructionists could tell you all about it, but it's just to get, as it stands right now, we rely on another agency to help us. Kind of come in and help us do these things. The Sheriff's Office is drawing our diagrams in large part right now. Once we get this last software piece here, my reconstructions will draw our diagrams. in-house. So, the only piece I'm told that will be lacking, of course, there's always new developments and stuff, but, the only thing we won't be able to do now after this is added is, the reading of the black box.
Mm.
The computer and the brain in the car, so I have to get somebody to read those, state police or the sheriff's office. That is it's a $30,000 piece. So, it's something I really want to dive into and make sure that we really can warrant, 2 to 5 serious bodily injuries or fatalities a year. Is it worth bringing it in-house? I think it is, just on the surface, but I want to make sure there's not other options like paying a subscription to use somebody else's. Let me send this black box to you and you tell me what's on it in a more timely manner than relying on another agency to do it. Kind of like with cell phones, when we dump cell phones to look at what all's on a cell phone from a bad guy, we rely on other agencies to do that. We have partnerships, but if we can do it in-house, we will, but it takes expensive items, computer items to make that work, So, but with the, and the other possibility of adding in the future is a drone, to help with the crash reconstruction, but the drone can also be used in investigations and surveillance. But, the lab, that's another final piece that we'll look at next year, unless we come across some grant money, or just some extra funds in the budget that I come across in the latter part of the year, left over that, maybe I didn't use as much in uniform as I thought, or something like that. Maybe we can move some things around and get a drone to help complete that puzzle. Overall, I'm pleased with where we're headed.
Any questions for the chief?
In the black box reading, do I give it? I'm trying to think how to say it. For if insurance companies do it, if y'all do it first and then insurance companies do it, or because I know sometimes car insurance companies will do it. But do we have access to it, or how does that go? How does the decision?
I don't know about black box reading, but you're talking about the reconstruction in general.
Okay,
A lot of times, insurance companies will pay their own reconstructions to reconstruct the crash.
Right. But not.
I found that, depending on how well our reconstruction's done, you probably see a lot less of that. I don't know. But, something I always prided myself in my crash report.
Mm-hmm.
I was only deposed twice in 25 years for lawsuits and just litigation involving a crash because of the way I wrote my crash report. I made it obvious.
Right.
What I believe in my professional opinion happened.
Mm-hmm.
Some officers don't do it. I try
very
to coach
few.
them to do that.
Yeah.
It's a self-creating problem. They sit on the stand more than I did.
Yeah.
Same thing with reconstruction. If it's good enough, they may not need to do it. I don't know, but there he is. You're absolutely right. Insurance companies pay lots of money to have crashes reconstructed. Ridiculous.
All right, moving on here, to the street department, page 37. Change on the first page. Throughout the whole, just, engineering fees for drainage projects, it's 50,000, 24-25 budget, it's been amended, and there's no change, there's a beginning out there.
We did spend engineering fees, I just recorded those fees instead of as an engineering fee as a cost of the project.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the next page on 40, you use an air conditioning unit, and that's the share of the fire department, the fire station.
Just have it have 3 cents. They share the building.
Right, 3.5, correct. $41. 42 is health expenditures. Unfortunately, don't see much there. Talking about recreations, page 23.
Speaking of mosquito control, have we started spraying for this season?
Not yet.
When are you planning?
Probably today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Page 44. 45. 40, the budget is amended, 40,000 for equipment for kids' swim playing.
I know there was an issue with that back gate. Did anything come of that? Is this the wrong
We have it
time?
fixed.
Is it?
And they come in.
Page 46, 47. 48. The budget is amended.
The transfers out to the capital projects fund is to cover what we spent on the road. And then that will transfer in the motor pool just to cover the shortage in their fund.
Utility fund, as Michelle mentioned at the beginning, one additional employee has been added for gas and for sewer. We've anticipated 3% CPI adjustment for natural gas, for the water, and for the sewer. And that's anticipated.
When are they planning on hiring?
Sometime after July.
And that's the Chelsea utility funds. On page 52, 53, changes there. 54, 55, changes grit removal in 2024. 56, again, the water department, you can see at the bottom, their share of the roof.
But you said completed the grit removal. Where was that? That's a,
It was completed in 2024, but I did include $150,000 in this year's budget, that we didn't need because it was completed. It's on page 55.
You'll see some repairs on tonight's.
yeah,
On the
that's
capital
what I
budget.
was,
Repairs.
okay.
That just for right.
That's to the
Not grit
mechanical
removal
system.
at all,
Like,
that's
it's
the
strictly
repairs to
repairs.
the plant, to the grit removal system.
Right, so it seems to be focused on the moving bridge element, which is ultimately, well, I mean, maybe we should wait and talk about it when we have an engineer with us. But I would have thought that that would be affiliated with this somehow, in that,
Well, the grit removal piece is what was left over from the flood, so we did that as part of a flood project.
Yeah, okay.
The repairs
not
to.
all of it, right?
Not all of it,
Yeah.
no. The repairs to the plant are just repairs that were needed.
Okay.
And then there were two, I don't have my agenda with me, so I don't know how it reads. There were two items bid out for the treatment plant, the sand filter rehab and Avalon Bridge.
Avalon Bridge.
And nothing else.
That's
So,
like,
I think
that's
they're-
the last section that's not working. Got the weeds growing in the
Yeah,
bottom.
okay.
Yeah, that's what's gonna be, I think it's the wall's falling, right? Or the,
Yeah.
there was something, I forgot exactly what it is, but yeah, I'm sure I was somebody prepared.
Eddie should be.
Yeah,
I
he should be.
haven't heard from him today, but I would
Right.
expect he is.
Because that's about $1 million altogether.
Yeah, about 750,
Yeah.
800, yeah.
58, 59. I'm not sure, it's not. The direct expenses on page 61. Revenue service names added there and equipment operator and sewer and gas. And I think the last thing is the Eastover well electric gate, that's on page 65.
And in your next version of your budget, then ask for an electric gate to be added to the old Redneck well site. Because of where Daryl placed a building that he got, they don't have the parking next to the well anymore, so they'll need to be able to put into the well site.
And then the non-operative revenue on page 67, that's just on the same there. Is there anything you need to talk about there, Michelle, on 67?
The OCD, DRG non-federal match is the 10% cost share that we've spent on the projects that the state is gonna reimburse us for as the projects close. We're not eligible till the projects are closed. We're in the process now of pushing through the last projects to close out. But there are dollars in those projects that have to go to FEMA for approval. They weren't in the original project, so it could be another year or two before that's done.
That's good news.
And then that same explanation for FEMA disaster grant category F, that's where the repairs to the lift stations and the water wells were captured. So we're still owed, really, if they approve everything, it's gonna be about double what that $1 million is in there. But whenever FEMA comes out and writes a project after a disaster, everything's written on an estimate. And then when you get in and start doing the work and you open everything up, you find a lot more damage than you anticipated. And all that has to go back through FEMA to get approved so that they can reimburse us for it.
Page 70, 71, month 72 is slab space outside to work on vehicles. And that's under building for $9,000.
Wait, could you say that again?
Sure.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Page 72, building improvements, $9,000 to add a slab, fill out the space to work on vehicles outside. Right, then we go to the capital projects fund. Michelle, you want to talk about 75 there?
So on 75 is the revenue that's anticipated from, the top number is from capital outlay funding through the state, and the bottom number would be the state reimbursements also for the projects that are on the next page. So most of the street projects are 75-25, with our share being 25%, plus we're also responsible for 100% of the engineering.
So for Demco Drive and Home Depot Drive.
Chad's still looking at those because the numbers didn't quite work out in my mind. But those are capital outlay projects, so it's gonna be roughly a 75-25 split.
Okay. 76, 77, 78, 71. 78. They didn't ask for an increase for the cemetery fund for maintenance.
We pay the cemetery care out of the general fund.
But did they ask for an increase this year?
They haven't asked for an increase since we started using them.
It's been 10 years.
So then you have two, capital outlay pages or brackets here. I'll go through those real quick. Administration is the first one for 2025. It's the 2024-25 amended budget. And then the first thing are laptops for City Hall. And then just during the accounting use, which we're really not going to. And then the pavilion at Spring Park, which is at 776. Nothing for cemetery and permits. Extra, and then, animal control. Then, police department, 9 computers. Those are laptops for the vehicles. 27 body cams. And then K9 cash. And tacos. The other is, as you see it there, so that's the floor. And the third page is gas department, the equipment, building for equipment storage. And upgrades to the line relocation from Oregon Highway, and skid steer.
Yeah, that Old Hammond Highway project's moving a lot slower than we anticipated, so that number will change for you an extra. I don't even know if they picked up the work since it stopped.
Last time I wrote down, it looks just like it passed for the last year or so.
So that number will probably move to next year's budget.
That's right away. Right away, dispute with the landowner. That's what I'm on that. It had been there so long, the fact that we had delivered this land had to be picked up.
Jesus.
In that respect for it.
Same construction company doing juvenile.
Fair question.
That is fair.
There may not be a need for pipe. Okay. And then you can see pretty much everything else here, this gas, sewer, and water. Those. Then on the 2026 proposed budget, software, administration software, integrate with
Cassell.
Cassell.
Cassell is a software that most of the city uses. And they use it for payroll, accounting, accounts payable, billing,
Cemetery.
licensing.
Is that a main server for the whole city hall, or is that just for?
I'm gonna look at that. That's for a cheap person.
And we've got benches going in at the First Baptist Church site. And used pickup truck. And then the cemetery, the arch for the cemetery.
Okay.
And we talked about the budget for dog kennels. Chief, you don't need to say anything about any of the stuff that you requested for your capital outlay. The CPR machine.
Yeah, we have one, and it worked really well. We like to add a second one to one of the other trucks. Because that truck, if it's, it has a CPR call, and if it's down south, in the third station, that truck has to wait. And they do manual CPR until that unit gets there and run.
Yeah.
That truck all the way down there, hook it up. But it has really worked well, and it has saved many lives.
Yeah, manual CPR is no fun.
No, sir. And this machine here, when it's on, it gives you a perfect blood pressure.
That's awesome.
When it's working, your blood pressure is up, and it's
That's
constant.
awesome.
It's a steady rhythm.
The trucks have an AED song?
Yes, sir. We still have AEDs. Can you bring somebody in to show us a demo, like?
No, really.
He might not appreciate that.
Yes.
They probably never seen the AED work either, so.
But it's, some of that thing is pretty brutal, huh? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can do a demonstration. We have a CPR dummy you can put on it. You can see how it works. Yeah, we can do that. Interesting. When you're on summer vacation, just come on back on.
Alright, and then the police department, capital outlay, anything you just, that you haven't talked about already?
I don't think so. Maybe the classroom chairs. We've got a bad run. Just a lot of, I think, cheaply made products. We're just trying to upgrade in that area.
Can you get your 5 Tahoes? Does it look like you'll be able to get those?
I'm hoping so. I don't see an issue with it. I haven't been told of any shortage.
They made in America, just asking.
If I call him and he tells me, I don't know if I can get you 5, we got creative and made something work before, and we might can do something like that again. We'll just have to see. But hopefully 5 won't be an issue.
Okay.
You gonna retire the Fords, the smaller?
I'm trying to,
By attrition, I assume?
yeah, just, what we have, we haven't bought any more. And every year, we kind of revisit the question of mechanically sound and maintenance wise, what's the better route? And it still appears, even with the engine trouble we've had with having Chevrolets, it still appears it's tit for tat. Whether it's going to be all of the small problems the Fords add up to one big one the Chevrolet has. So
Are they addressing the problem, Chevrolet, or
They're not.
they're not taking care of that for you?
oh yes, they're taking
Yeah,
care of
okay.
it under warranty.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
In some cases, most cases under warranty. But they're not addressing as far as fixing the problem, which a lot of us know why it's being caused. But
Somewhat oil consumption is the biggest.
no, it's the so basically the cylinder shut off.
4, 6, 8, yeah.
Yeah, so the idle time that policemen put on a vehicle, you can't have that.
So have you, this is a dumb question.
That's what's killing the motors.
Yeah.
You can get an aftermarket chip for $35 that'll fix that?
No, that's not the case. So I inquired on my personal truck, which has the same running gear. I wasn't ever affected, but it's because I pulled a trailer a lot, I think. So I never jump in and out of that 4-cylinder motor
Yeah.
like others do. But when I inquired to some mechanic shops on what it would cost on my 2020 Chevrolet Silverado, it was $7 or $8 grand. And that was with my brother doing it.
Yeah.
So you have to reprogram the computer. Part of that's reprogramming the computer. They charge you like $5 grand for that. They got a Chevrolet figured out how to
like
keep
I'm a
you from
little
doing
wrong.
it. Used to, so 2015 and older, you could do it for about $300-400.
Yeah.
Just reprogramming it. They figured out that people were doing that.
We had to get ours switched, the 4-cylinder taken off altogether. We had to rebuild ours. It's an 18. It doesn't have 70,000 miles.
The one you got from us?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's one we bought used down in Gonzales.
Oh, okay.
It was the same thing. $4,800 to rebuild it. That included them taking out the part that was just weak and switching it over. But it was like that. It was up and down, up and down.
Yeah, we just had another one fail. Now luckily this one was older. It's got 148,000 miles on some deadline.
Yeah.
But they're losing the top end out of them. So when they're in that 4-cylinder mode, the oil pump's not getting enough oil to the top end of the motor, I guess. Andy can tell you all about it. He's researched it tremendously, but we've had them go down. As matter of fact, they did one of our 24s recently. They had 8,000 miles on it.
Gee.
His had to go in for motor work.
I saw a thing the other day where they were talking about the oil usage has increased dramatically in the last couple of decades, let's say, on
Yeah.
meat vehicles, and trying to increase the gas mileage by having the piston and the rings fit looser.
That's
So
right,
there's
that's right,
less friction,
that's right.
but there's also more oil being blown by.
That's right, like, so if you look in,
It's up there.
you know, on your oil cap or whatever, it tells you what weight,
Mhm.
it's zero.
Zero.
It's zero weight on those Silverados and Tahoes,
Zero.
zero weight.
What is, okay.
Or replacing
I don't even, I know, I'm like, I don't even know where to go with that. I was like, okay, zero it is.
Got 110,000 miles.
Oh, gosh.
So the market
It's
back in
really
the
scary to go get a new
Yeah.
vehicle now. It is like scary. Like the cost isn't even thing, it's the, you know, no clue.
Letters lock up, each can lock.
Mm-mm.
All right, finishing up here, street department, looks like 250 in the middle storage building, and that's it. $1,140,000 for that one. Any questions or comments? Anybody? All right, well, just-
I would like, Cheryl to explain, if she could, in the beginning of the meeting, talk about the cost of living raise. Can you explain that again? Or the lack of thereof?
There's not gonna be an across the board, same percentage cost of living increase. We're gonna take the salary surveys that are being done and, move our pay scales toward what they should be according to the salary surveys. And maybe they are where they should be. We'll find that
Right,
out.
right. Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? I need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Williams,
Second.
second by Poole.
Dugas,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Lamb Williams,
Yes.
Poole,
Yes.
Wesley.
Yes.
Chief, are those,
Innovation.
5.3 liter V8s?